relationship with our mothers, right? They're foundational. And even for those who have kind of rocky relationships with moms, right? Don't have maybe some of the best memories or whatever, it's still, thank you, sir. It's still a foundational relationship. It represents nurturing. The bond with your mother is irreplaceable. And so I think that we have to acknowledge that. But then we also have to acknowledge that the bond with your spouse, oh my goodness, this is about building. This is about next level. And it's about covenant. And so as we talk about it tonight, I want us to not think about it in terms of a competition. But we do have to be clear about it because it's everyday real situations that people be dealing with. And people don't be knowing like which way they're supposed to go or, you know, how they should move because I guess they be in their feelings. Da, 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 da. They be in their feelings. And you know, we just don't operate from a balanced place. So I want to ask everybody to do this just for a moment. I want you to just get quiet for a minute, just be still for a moment, and I want you to think about your mama. I want you to think about your mother. And just think about, like, when you think about your mother, what are the feelings that come up? Y'all can drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. When you think about your mother, what feelings come up? And they may not all be great, but there's attachment for sure. What are the feelings that come up? A lot of times for folks, it's gratitude, warm, fuzzy feelings. Come on, Yvonne, with the queen. What other feelings come up when you think about your mama? What other feelings? Gratitude. For me, deep gratitude, just love. It's like my anchoring. I feel like she's my anchor, you know, keeps me centered. Loyalty is something that comes up for people. Even sometimes obligation comes up for folks, you know, tension. So I just want to acknowledge that there are a lot of things tied into, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions that tie into our relationships, and especially that foundational relationship with our mothers.
Yeah, the feeling that comes up for me is compassion. You know, my mom, she's a very sweet, compassionate person. She's always thinking about other people and always giving. Earlier today, we took our middle son out for kind of like a going away, mommy and Baba talk. You know, he's going off to school, and
he's starting late. You know, everybody else in school, but they be starting late on in UC Riverside.
So we took him out for like a little brunch, and during this experience, we were sharing our upbringing and our dating experience growing up. So for those who don't know, my name is, as I said, Ayize. This is my wife, Iana. We're trained therapists and relationship coaches. We've been together for 30 years, married for 23, and we got over 30 years of combined experience in the mental health space. We've been doing this work together for the past 15 years, but we started in high school, y'all. We started our relationship in high school. And so this right here doesn't tie into your mama versus your spouse, but this definitely ties into your mama having some influence over the decisions that you make. And so early on in our relationship, in our dating relationship, prior to my wife going off to school, her mama.
I was wondering where you was going with this. I was like, what?
Yeah, her mama told her that, you know, she might want to. How she said she might want to end the relationship and
she ain't say it like she ain't say it like that.
Sow her royal oats.
She did not say that.
Explore what's on campus and stuff like that. And I'm 17 years old.
Say it like
I was like madly in love with this girl right here. She was my girlfriend at the time. And
my mother said it is help. My mother's a therapist and a minister, right? She was being balanced. She said you know, when you go away to school and you all the way in Atlanta, he's in Maryland, and the developmental stage you're in, and he's in, you all, you know, might want to date, you know, if you're meant to be, you will be, you know, that kind of thing.
So she said all of that, but I wasn't feeling it, y'all. I knew at that time that she was going to be my wife. I wanted her to be my wife. And so we're talking to our son earlier today because he's in a relationship right now. And so we're giving him game, and he's like all booed up and all that type of stuff. And so we're trying to share some of the wisdom. And so back then I was like, Mama, you wrong. Like, I'm not liking what you're saying. You're giving my wife, my girlfriend at the time, the wrong advice. I'm not feeling that. And so I lift that up to say that, you know, if you've ever had a conflicting viewpoint from your mother-in-law, type a 1 in the chat. If there's ever been a conflicting viewpoint between you and your mother-in-law that's been shared with your spouse, Now that was my girlfriend at the time, but there have been times where, you know, we've had conflicting viewpoints. Type of one in the chat, y'all. I want to make sure that this is a real thing. Because again, I do think that if you're in a real relationship, I mean, everybody's entitled to their perspective and opinion. And so, you know, we don't want to take that away from moms, because mom, she brings value to the relationship. She brings value to you, and not just moms, but pops, dad, baba, you know, they bring value as well too. And so if there's ever been a conflicting viewpoint, you know, it's important to acknowledge that piece. And at the same time, too, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? I can recall our children asking us, you know how kids, they like to ask questions to see, to try to put you in a tough space and to see you squirm a little bit. They would ask this question. I can remember them being about, at least we got a cluster of middle children. So we had one right now that's 18, one that's 19, and one that's 21. She about to be 21 next week. And so they're like tight together. So when they were younger, they would ask the question, so Baba, and Baba means father in Swahili. If you was on a cliff, if grandma and mommy were on a cliff.
Why would they ask you that?
If grandma and mommy were on a cliff, who would you choose? Who would you choose? Life would you choose?
We both hanging on. You gotta let one person go.
Let one person go. Yo, like, who would you choose? And so kids be doing that, y'all. Anybody had that type of situation with kids? Kids put you in that type of awkward place where it's like you got to make a decision. Now my wife is sitting right here next to me. Thank God they ain't never asked me that question when both of them was with me, but they did definitely ask the question, and I didn't answer the way I did because my wife was sitting next to me. But I answered the way I did, which was I chose my wife. Actually, who would y'all choose?
That's
your
rough,
wife
right?
And your mother.
Your mama.
You got to say one person, they hanging on a cliff. Like, who would you choose?
But listen to this. Can I say this real quick? Just recently in what was it? Oh no. I just seen a documentary on Netflix. And it just came out not that long ago, but it was because it's been 25 years since Katrina.
Yeah.
And we watched it together, right? And
it's a good documentary, y'all.
Yeah, and but the guy, do you remember he said that his grandchild fell in the water, his other grandchild fell in the water, his mom was in the water, and different people. And he was trying to hold on to all of them, and he let his mother go. She went up under, and he let her go because looking at these little kids, and you know, like it was rough, but he made that decision. I guess, I mean, I don't know I can't remember exactly what he said, but you know, she lived her life. You know,
and you ain't gotta be callous or nothing like that. But I mean, real talk, like grandma, mom would actually, I think that a good mother would want that. And recognizing that the youth, they have more life to live. I've lived more life. You have a younger family. And so I would make that decision through the lens of, number one, I do want my wife as well as me wanting my mother. And at the same time, too, I think that my mom would be willing to make that type of sacrifice for the family. Right. And so I would make the decision to choose my wife. And so I'm leaning in that direction. IG, what say y'all? What do y'all say? I see the blame they talking about like, yeah, I'm going with my wife. I'm going with my wife.
Well, while y'all are dropping your thoughts about which direction you would go in, I want to set us up tonight, because when we think about marriage and we think about our responsibilities to our spouse and the covenant and all of that, and we also think about our family, I want to give us some foundational scriptures that some of you all may resonate with, others may not, but many of you are familiar with at least some of these. Genesis 2:24 says, "That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh." One flesh, right? Ephesians 5:31 through 33. Marriage is about leaving, cleaving, and becoming one. Husbands are told to love their wives as themselves, wives to respect their husbands. Exodus 20:12. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Oh, these are some foundational ones we've heard of, right? And then I got a couple more. Mark 10:7 through 9. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate or put asunder, right? Let no one separate. And then 1 Timothy 5:8, y'all. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Oh my. anyone who does not provide for their relatives and especially for their own household has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So whether or not you identify as Christian or a believer or not, these scriptures are culturally very, very known. And we know that there's a responsibility to our spouses and to our mothers and to our fathers. And we have to be able to reckon with that. And so there are 3 truths tonight that we're going to share with you all to help you all get clear, because some of y'all is in situations right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Look, there you go, Gina. Always got the answer. Right now, you have situations and you kind of stuck, or you acting in ways that are really not in alignment with what you know you should be doing, because it's hard. This is not easy work, being in a relationship and being responsible to your spouse and to your parent. No matter how old they get, they still your mama, it's still your daddy, whatever it is, right? So you something else you want to say before we get into these truths?
Yeah. Back in the day, we went over to a couple's house, and we engaged in a session. It was a group session. We engaged in a group session, and during the group sessions that we do, oftentimes what happens is that the men and women, we separate. And, of course, we create these safe spaces for men, these safe spaces for women. So during the course of this session, the fellas be out in the backyard kicking it, and the ladies there inside, drinking their tea and wine and kicking it as well. And so I remember this one very salient point that this brother lifted up. And he was speaking about manhood. He was speaking about husbandry. And one thing that he said in his maturation process is that he had to learn that at some point, every man has to become a man to their mom and a man to their dad. Again, he said at every point, a man has to become a man to their mom and to their dad. And so what he was speaking about was the perception. Hey, sis, what he was speaking about was the perception in terms of like how they view you. Are you still their boy? Are you still a little kid? Or are they viewing you through the lens of being a man? And so I'm lifting this piece up because when it comes to decision making for your household, are you racing to them to have your parents make the decision for you? Or do they view you as a man where you're capable of making the decisions for yourself, which means that you're making decisions collaboratively with your wife. You're making decisions for your children collaboratively with your wife. And so perception matters. And when your parents see you as being a man and not just a little boy, things shift. When they see you as being a woman and not just a little girl having you in a box wearing your tutu, then, things are different. And so I want to challenge and encourage people to do the work that's needed in order for that perspective to be shifted, because sometimes we got like 60-year-old men that's really perceived or seen as boys by their parents. And we got to do something different about that, y'all.
Okay, so there are 3 points that we want to take you to tonight. When you think about your mama and you think about your boo, your spouse, right? The first thing is that all spiritual.
Hold on, before you do that.
Yes.
I answered the question about the cliff. I want you to answer the question.
What's the question?
So I lifted up how if I got to choose between my wife and my mama, I'm choosing my wife. I want you to answer that question. If you got to choose, now it's typically given to men, and men got to make those difficult decisions. But when it comes to the wife, are ladies, are y'all like, I'm letting this Negro, he gone. I'm choosing my mom. They ain't ask you, they ask me. So I want to know right here on camera, what's your answer? God damn it!
So let me just say this: as a woman, I have multiple abilities to think.
We on the clip, boo. We ain't got time. We ain't got time for you to do much processing.
Kids and different people, and we can get on both. We can get. I can get like the kids and get some people, and we can both pull both y'all up. Real like we can.
You got to decide, ladies. Who y'all choosing? I'm choosing
my husband.
Okay. All right.
Damn.
That was a little bit harder?
That was hard.
That was hard?
Yes.
Really?
I would not let you go. My mom is older old. She old. And I would let her go. But I mean, Jesus, Lord, I'd be wanting to throw myself off with her.
Oh.
I just tell the truth. Like, mommy, no, my mommy. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be rough. That would be rough. But I would keep you, baby.
Okay. Thank you. You took too long.
I would, but it would just be painful. So, yeah, Alice Hemp stepping on both their hands. She's stepping on both your hands. Y'all can both do it. So we're talking again tonight, y'all, about, you know, your mom. What was the title? What was the title of tonight's
Who
thing?
comes first? Your spouse or your mama?
Your spouse or your mama, right? So spiritual guidance never cancels, right? It never cancels the commitment we have to our parents. Right. But it does shift the emotional priority. It does shift where our energy goes. So that honor for our parents must never go. It still looks like respect. It still looks like deep gratitude. It still looks like reverence. Right. But it does not look like blind obedience once we're adults. It does not look like lack of boundaries and continuing to tell them everything all the time and what's going on. Right. It doesn't look like that. But certainly we can still make sure that we make room for understanding the place they have in the family and with us. We got to be able to do that. But when we get married, you have to prioritize your spouse. And you know how many people come to us and we work with them and they say, I just don't feel prioritized. We hear that so many times. I don't feel prioritized. I mean, I know I'm important, but I don't feel prioritized. And there is a difference. There is a difference. So when you marry, your first human allegiance shifts. It shifts. And if it's, and for some people, a lot of people, it's not natural. You have to actually make yourself shift. You got to make yourself shift because you're like, this is what we do. This is how we do. This is what's right. This is, you know, and so you have to actually shift yourself. Your spouse is your partner in covenant, the person you build your life with. So you have to start moving differently. That means decisions, loyalty, all of these things, emotional priority belong in your marriage. It doesn't mean that you then cut your parents off and you just have no emotional connection or attachment. No, it does not mean that. But it means that in the building of your marriage, that when you have good, healthy boundaries, it protects what you are building so that the legacy that started with your parents can continue on through you. Boundaries protect relationships. Oh, I need somebody to type boundaries in the chat tonight. Okay, boundaries. It don't matter what we talking about, Blamley. I know y'all like, dang, that daggone word always be coming up. Boundaries. You know what I'm saying? We got to have boundaries. And it's difficult to think of. I mean, when you think about your parents sometimes, but the more you practice it, anything you're doing, you're practicing. The more you practice it, the better you get, the easier it becomes.
Speaking of boundaries, y'all, I'm curious to know, do you have a key to your parents' house? Type a 1 in the chat if you got a key to your parents' house. Yeah, do you have a key to your parents' house and can you go freely without calling? Type a 1. Can you go freely without calling? All right, now let me flip that.
Do you go freely without calling?
Do your parents have a key to your house? And can they come freely without call? Do they have a key to your house and can they come freely without calling?
They come in and out your house, put a 1 for yes or a 2 for no.
Yeah, put a 1 for yes, 2 for no.
They can come in your house whenever they want to and just show up. I'm trying to see. Now, but they can pop by. No key, we can pop. So has anybody had a conversation ever where when you was, when you got married, your partner said like, they're just coming up over here? Like, some people don't mind, but some spouses be like, they're just popping up over here.
We had to have a conversation.
That ain't cool. But that was like way back, huh?
It was way back in the day, but a part of it was based off of, it was based off of attending church, my parents attending church in Virginia and then just showing up right after service. And so it was easy. It was convenient. They want to see the grandkids, specifically to my mom. Wants to see the grandchildren. She's right up the street. And so.
But you know what also?
What?
I think also that time, because we were also in your peeps' house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? This is when we were in Virginia.
Yeah.
So it was a family house.
Family
so that
house,
felt different to me. If you come to my house, I might be like, oh, okay. I still might be like, can you not just keep coming over here every Sunday when I'm trying to take a nap.
But even if it's a family house,
But that felt different to me because it wasn't mine. So it was like y'all coming to y'all house to see, like,
it's not really that. But no, it's they're not living there.
That's
I mean,
how it
it's
felt to me.
Oh, that's how I felt to you.
I'm in y'all's house and y'all coming by whenever y'all want to. You know what I'm saying?
It's the family house. Wasn't nobody in there.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but all of those things matter. So boundaries matter. And so it's important for those of you tonight who know that you have a hard time setting boundaries, and especially with parents who you've looked to, you still look to. It's important for you to know that you got to practice saying things like, Mom, I love you, but I need to check in with my husband first. Mom, that sound good. Yeah, I like that, but I'm not sure. I need to check with my wife. I need to talk with my wife first. That's order. And without it, without the order, without the boundaries, you create unnecessary conflict, assuming that things will be okay. Even though your partner, they might be okay with it. Like, for real, have you ever been in that situation like you really are cool with something, but because your partner didn't ask you or say nothing to you, they just told you this will be doing or this was happening? Well, now it's the problem. It ain't really a problem, you know what I'm saying? But like, dang, like, can I, you need to talk to me. When you have boundaries, you preserve peace. But when you do not, conflict, drama, unnecessarily.
Yeah, I had an issue with that earlier on. And I think that it was in my developmental process. The whole piece around telling my parents that I'm gonna talk to you first. Let me talk to you first. Let me check in with you. I mean, it wasn't. I never shared that with you, but that I did have conflicting feelings about it. But again, this was early on because I was so used to deferring to what my parents said that when it came to a place specifically around my relationship with my father. Because I respect him so highly, and his opinion of me matters. Earlier on, because he's like a man's man, and so for me to say I got to check in with my wife, I'm thinking to myself like, he's probably, what you mean you got to check in? I mean, just make the damn decision, right? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have that issue around my mom because I knew that there was more consideration in reference to that piece. But in terms of me lifting that up to my father earlier on, I had challenges with that. However, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's phases and transitions that take place when you become a man to your father, when you become a man to your mom, and they see you differently. And so it don't matter what they think. You're going to do what you're going to do, and you're going to say what you say because you prioritize what's most important, which is your spouse.
That's good. So I think that tonight's conversation was important, and it is important because in so many ways, that's just popular culture. We make things a competition, or, this is what you got to do and you can't do this and that kind of thing. But if we think about this in terms of order, again, or order, then we think about the fact that God comes first, right? God comes first, spouse second, and your parents honored always. We don't even say third. Always honored. They have a select space, right? They have a critical space. Our elders have a select space, honored always. So there is room for everyone. And oftentimes if you are feeling feelings of like, I'm not getting enough attention, or I feel like I'm having to compete with my own mother-in-law, or whatever the case may be, then you have to share your feelings, share what's going on for you first and foremost to and with your spouse, so they can understand what maybe some of your unmet needs are, some things that oftentimes we don't even know. We don't even know. We like, oh, I didn't know that was a big deal. Thank you for telling me, right? So you need to share. But also, I always tell folks, you can't compete because he can never be my mama. He can never do for me what my mama does, right? Completely different category. And my mama could never do for me what my husband does for me, ever. You know what I'm saying? Why you had to do that? He had to push the little air horn over here, IG, in case y'all ain't know, like, boom, yep, she sure can't do what I can do.
I love my mother.
But what I'm saying is they're completely different lanes. So when we think about it, we must have order and we must have clarity around what the lanes are. And we must attend to those lanes, attend to those roles. And I think oftentimes, especially as we are moving along in today's society, oftentimes we are not sharing that information and we are not modeling that with our families, with our children. We are not modeling this in terms of how we defer to and pay attention to the elders in our family, in terms of how our children do that.
Yeah.
Right. We're not paying attention to that, even in terms of how we exchange with our spouses. So if we start to do that, we get to extend the legacy. And if you don't have the culture already in your family, start to create new culture in your family of what the order is and what the love and respect is and the good, healthy boundaries and all of that. And I tell you today, like I tell people all the time, your children, your cousins, whomever, you can show them better than you can tell them. They pick up what you do, not what you say. What you do. So how you be, how you move, how you flow, and how you show the honor, how you show the reverence, how you grow up inside of yourself and have the conversations you need to have, how you do all of that is going to be more impactful than any words you can give any day.
See a comment. A mother to an adult son is hurtful. My son is absent from my existence.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to hear that. I will say this, I don't have any context, right, for why there's an absence. But I'll just share this story. I was doing a retreat. Well, that's the one in July. In July, I was doing a retreat, women's retreat
And when is the next one coming up?
and the next one is called the Divine Flow Retreat, happening in January 2026. And so, dang, you gotta get that domain straight. But anyway, I'll send out an email to it tonight or tomorrow. I ain't sending it tonight, but tomorrow. So anyway, we were there, and it's a safe place. We be talking, sharing or what have you, and two of the moms were just talking about, they had adult sons, right? And we're just talking about how like their sons, like the way they make it sound like they had a horrible childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like they just was really struggling, and I was always, there for them. I did this for them. I did that. And to hear them tell it like, they ain't had no voice. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. And I just have to tell them that's just not true. That just ain't it. That's just not true. And so they were both kind of, like, yeah, I know. I mean, exactly. And it's just, it's just disappointing when you do so much for your kids. And I know exactly what they're talking about. And them kids grow up and their memories is completely different. Just completely different. And one of the things that not only I, but other sisters in the room did after we validated and said we understand the hurt and that kind of thing, is said, you have to remember that everybody has their own experience. Everybody has their own experience. And I know that the kind of mother I was to my children, to my firstborn son, who is 23 now, and my 9-year-old, they got two different mamas. And I know that even the cluster that my husband talked about, they're all right together. They got a different mama, each of them, even though they were all right around the same age. And I can't remember, this psychologist said some time ago, he said, no child has the same parent because there is an exchange of different personalities, different things going on at different junctures of your life, right? They receive and perceive things differently based on how they filter stuff, right? Nobody has the same parent. You all might have experienced similar things, but nobody has the same parent, because the way that I exchange with you might be different than him because y'all trigger me differently, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has their own experience. And as mothers, as the anchors in our family, we have to make room for our children's experience. We have to validate them, even if we got to do it through gritted teeth. Even if we got to do some deep breathing, we got to let their story be their story. We got to pay attention to their story, and we got to make room for that. And we got to learn how to discipline the resistance and the hurt that comes up when they share something that feels like it's in complete, contrast to what we know we intended. So I share that to say there's so many people who could be in relationship if they would just make room. Just because you cultivate some understanding doesn't mean you have to agree. It's just you just got to create understanding. And sometimes you can just say, I don't understand. But what I do know is I don't want to be right more than I want to be in relationship with you, son. I want to be in relationship more than anything. And as the elders, as the mothers, as the fathers, the grands and all of that, we have to model that. We have to model that. We got to do that. So just sending you positive energy, sis.
That was good.
As I know that's difficult. That's difficult. And I
She said
saw
that
she said
cross
something
country,
about
yeah, and she don't mix well with the wife.
with the wife. Yeah, and I know that can be difficult, but I still say the grown-ups. I'm talking about even if you got your children grown up. There's always somebody who more grown up. I'm 48. My mother is, how old is she? 75. She, you know what I'm saying? She still models for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm modeling for mine. So yes, there's some things that we can do to stretch so that we can be in relationship. But anyway, I digress a little bit. The bottom line is mamas and spouses, the mothers should be honored always. Space should be held always. And the emotional priority goes to the spouse. So as you pay attention to that tonight, as you consider that and you think about your own relationship or maybe the relationship of your children where you've had some conflict with their spouses or whatever, ask yourself, what did God want me to pick up on tonight? What did God want me to pick up on tonight that I can do, that I can think about differently so that I can not only grow myself, but also grow my family. You can only do what you can do, but I promise you there's more. There's always more we can do. There's always more.
Indeed.
There's room for everybody. Everybody at the cookout at the family reunion. Well, maybe not everybody, but there's room for most everybody.
All right, good people. This has been real. Thank y'all for showing up for Relationship Thursday. Be on the lookout, y'all. We got a challenge coming up.
Welcome.
The Conflict to Connection Challenge happening, I'm about to say January, September the 23rd through the 25th. September the 23rd through the 25th. You can go to blamchallenge.com to sign up. It's going to be dope, y'all. 3-day challenge. We taking you from conflict, you know, that beef, that tension, that irritation and agitation. We taking you from there to being like booed up, you know? And so, you know, again, make sure you show up, register, and we're going to holler at y'all later. Y'all be easy. Thank y'all for coming out, and we'll connect in with you.